Hey guys, we're back with another project, or a new project today. I need to replace the exhaust manifold on my TJ here. And as far as I know, this is the original exhaust manifold, and this thing's a 99, so it's 20 years old. Before we really get into anything though, I wanted to talk for a quick minute about the channel and maybe how this video is going to turn out and stuff like that. Right now it is like 87 degrees in the garage. It is going to keep getting hotter, and there's an heat index of 95. One of the things I've always tried to do with you guys, and will try and continue to do, is just be honest with you about things. Yeah, you know, if nothing else, if you show up to the channel and decide to watch a video, you know, I hope you take that away from you, is that I'm not trying to pull your leg or be somebody I'm not or anything like that. I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't want to do this job. It's July 4th. It is way too hot. I'm going to be doing this with the garage door open, which I also don't typically like to do, because then I'm like filming the neighborhood and stuff like that, and I don't like doing that. I've been putting off this job since I bought the Jeep. It came with a cracked manifold in 2006 when I bought it. I hate working on exhaust stuff. So I want to get all my complaining over now, right now, and let you guys know again that the only thing that pulls me through times like this and projects like this is the viewers. Knowing that you guys are stopping in, and somebody's enjoying the video, or if you don't enjoy the video, at least somebody stopped in to take a look. Maybe they found it helpful. I picked up a couple subscribers recently, and that is really cool. That means a ton to me, guys. Thank you so much. A lot of the time when I'm editing these videos and I say stuff like that, it doesn't sound sincere, because I'm still a little nervous filming stuff and all that. I'm still not quite out of my shell, so to speak. That's why I laugh nervously all the time too. I'm not actually like that in real life. So anyway, I want to take a quick minute to once again thank you guys for stopping by. Those of you that have become subscribers or commenters or have liked videos, that really does mean the world to me, especially days like today when I just straight up don't want to do this stuff. But the work's got to get done. So legitimately, without your support, I probably would just be sitting in the house in the nice AC, watching South Park all day or something, instead of getting work done. And if you are new to the channel, that is actually how the channel started. Is I had a project in the shop, and it was like a 20-degree day in January, and I didn't want to come out and work on it either. It's like, well, you know what, I'll try and make this more fun to myself by making a video, and that worked. So that's actually the whole backbone of the channel, is me not wanting to do stuff and doing it because of you. So thank you again so much. Hopefully I won't do any more deep complaining, even though I want to. And let's get into it. Thanks again, guys. And because it is so ridiculously hot, I've got this semi-industrial fan out here in the driveway blowing at me that is going to make some noise. So you guys are just going to have to put up with that too, or else I will die. So anyway, I think the first thing I need to do here is disconnect this power steering pump, and I'm hoping to just be able to lay it off the side because it's connected to the intake, and I don't really want to have to deal with that being attached while I'm at it. And the first step of that is going to be to take the serpentine belt off. This thing runs a manual belt tensioner, which is kind of interesting. You break free the bolt that holds the pulley on, and then that guy is just threaded. Well, it's a bolt, of course it's threaded, but there's a threaded block in there that slides that pulley up and down. So you manually tension these belts. They don't have a spring tensioner on them. So I am going to get the belt off and get the power steering pump hung free. And if anything interesting happens in that process, I'll let you know. Otherwise, we'll be back in a little bit. So both of the tensioner screws we needed to deal with are 15 millimeter. But this section is more for me than you. Before I take this serpentine belt off, I want to observe the routing. I don't see a routing sticker on this thing. I don't want to have to look it up later. Yeah, this Jeep has AC, so yours might be different. But yeah, just gonna try and take a look, make sure I'll get a pretty good grip on how everything's supposed to go. And that should do. Okay, so I got that stuff done. It wasn't really a big deal. I've got the power steering pump just kind of loosely braced up here to the radiator. The way it is right now, it doesn't seem to want to move, but did that to be safe. And those 3 bolts are what held it on, and they're all 3 the same length, so nothing to worry about there. But I did come up with something interesting. My battle plan for this thing always has been to go down through and break all these bolts loose before I actually start removing stuff, just to make sure they will break loose. So like if one should, for instance, snap off instead of come loose, that changes the game plan. So mild spoiler alert there, I actually have another 4-liter engine just sitting on a stand that I bought for another project. But I've had the cylinder head on that one ported and polished, so it flows about 30% more than stock. And it's also a 93 head, which is supposed to be a much better head than this 99 head. So if I go down through here and start snapping off every frickin' bolt in the head, it becomes radically more tempting to just dive deep and yank the cylinder head off of this thing, slap a cam and lifters in it, and start making some more power with the TJ. Don't get excited to see that anytime soon in the future unless this goes poorly. I haven't really made my mind up about what to do, and I bought that motor and had the headwork done and everything for a different project that you guys haven't seen and probably won't for a while. I've also got the project supervisor on the job now. That's Saddington sitting up there. Haven't really ever done anything with him, so I thought, why not? This would be a fun one, just have him hanging out. And it has also started just pouring rain, which is good and bad, because now my monster fan is in the shop with me, so I'm sure this is much more noisy. But on the plus side, it's chased just about everybody else inside, so I don't look like the crazy guy with the camera talking to myself in my garage. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'm going to keep going down through those and see if I can break those bolts all loose. And when I get that done, I'll probably start taking like this air intake pipe off, and I'm going to start looking at the wire harness to see if that actually needs to be removed, or if I can just like pull the intake back with all that stuff connected. I'm pretty sure I can. Like everybody else, I've watched videos of other people doing this, but until you do it yourself, you're not really sure. Here's a fun random one. Hear that siren? There's a fire station in my backyard that has a tornado alarm. So every Thursday at 2, that thing goes off for about 2 or 3 minutes. So I guess it's better than Thursday at 2 in the morning. Oh, here it comes again. It rotates around. Well, bad news. Looks like they're all going to break free pretty easily. So, no 300 horsepower TJ build coming real soon. Or, maybe 230. Who knows? But the interesting thing that's happened here is I am now down on the lower exhaust manifold bolt. The upper, see if I can point at it, like right there, I actually took out all the way. And this bottom one here is kind of, I won't say hard to get to, but it's kind of down in there. And I've been told the ones that are in the middle are even worse. But anyway, just want to take a quick minute and show you the advantage of a nice long handle ratchet. That ratchet's probably 14 inches or so long. I'll pull it out of there in a minute once I get that bolt all the way out. That makes your life a whole lot easier if you've got a decent long ratchet. Give me just a second, I'll show it to you. Yeah, just to show you from left to right, there's a normal Craftsman 3/8. That one in the middle is my long Craftsman 3/8. And the one on the right is a regular Craftsman 1/2 inch. So if you have experience with like regular size ratchets, that's how it compares. It's about twice as long as a normal 3/8. As a side note, I really like that thing, other than the fact that it's Craftsman. We'll probably talk more about Craftsman tools at some point in the future. But anyway, that was really handy to have. I did end up taking it out all the way with my Milwaukee Sidewinder. It just barely fits down in there, and it didn't have the torque to actually break it loose, and the body of this thing is so big that where it was at, it would have been hard to use this as a regular ratchet. So nice to have the nice long ratchet anyway. Back to it. Another quick maybe morsel of knowledge for you. This TJ has cruise control, which being a 99 and a stick is a little bit rare to have cruise and air and all that stuff, but anyway, it's one of the reasons I bought it. Anyway, this is the cruise control cable that goes up to the throttle body here, and to get this guy off in its natural resting position, like that, to get it off you just pull it forward. What I actually did is use both hands and had one hand opening the throttle to give me a little slack, and then I could just pull that guy forward. The other side is the gas pedal linkage, and it's actually a little more normal. It's just like a ball and socket. So that guy, when it's on there, you just stick a flat blade screwdriver in there and give it like a quarter twist, and it'll just pop right off. But anyway, it's probably not all that common. You know, I really don't know, but when this thing was around, or new, it wasn't all that common to get one with cruise. So the cruise one and the throttle one are different, so just keep that in mind. And now those are out of my way. So first of all, my manifold, we're under the Jeep, if it's not obvious, has developed a really serious crack in a pretty unusual location, I think. I don't think these are known for cracking right there. I thought they were known for cracking between the primaries, and maybe once I get this thing apart, we'll find that that's true as well. And I've always thought it was weird that these things never had any kind of a flex joint or anything in them between the motor and the rest of the system. It's just solid exhaust, and that's actually exactly where I would expect it to fail. But like I said, I don't think that's where they usually do. But anyway, what I'm going to try and show you now is the 2 bolts of infamy, I guess, that everybody says are hard to get out. There's one on the upper left there. It's half obscured by the pipe, and it's buddy. Oh, maybe you can just see it. Yeah, I think just up inside the pipe. I can't reach the camera to focus it manually, but just to the left of where that crack is, or I'm sorry, just to the right of where that crack is the second one. So we've got this conglomeration here of intake manifold, exhaust manifold, and everything in the way that you have to kind of snake something into to make anything happen. And I have a good selection of extensions and body extension and universal joint, all that stuff down here to try and make that happen. But I'm going to guess I'm going to get up from under this thing, let's say 4 more times before I get something that actually does work. Stay tuned, we'll see. The other fun thing is I'm going to have to get in here and cut the bolts off of that collector. I actually do have a whole new exhaust system for this thing I intend to install, but it's not here, it's at my dad's shop. So for now we got to make do. We're going to have to reuse this exhaust, so I'm going to have to cut those bolts. There's no way they're going to come off on their own. So that'll be fun too. I'm going to probably guess I'll be doing that with the Dremel with my eyes closed. Anyway, we'll get back to you in a minute here. So the rearward one, which I think is the only one I was able to actually show you on camera before, so now you can't see anything, actually managed to get off with my my 1/2-inch air impact with a, I don't know, 6-inch extension and a impact swivel and a deep well socket. The other one that you haven't been able to show you at all, I don't think, I'm going to have to do from the top somehow, I think, and it's not going to be fun. But something that is fun is I didn't realize just how cracked this was. Just 100% broken right off. That explains why she's a little loud when I have to start it up to get it out of the garage. So that other one I'm going to have to try and just manhandle from the top, and when I get all this stuff out, it'll be a lot easier to show you guys what happened, I think. But anyway, so far all the bolts are coming right out, which is awesome. I don't know if it's Grandpa's penetrating spray that's helped me out, or if these just aren't prone to break off, but they're not, so everything's coming out. I think I've just got that one left to get out, and then I can start getting the easy ones off, and we'll get this manifold out of here. Oh yeah, and it rained just long enough to make things even more unbearable. It rained hard for 10 minutes and then stopped, so awesome. I told you I'd try not to complain. I didn't say I wouldn't. Well, I've been able to identify where it is from the top anyway. So I haven't been able to show it to you guys at all, I don't think. But this is the injectors for 1 and 2. Here's the number 3 injector. It's directly underneath the intake manifold at number 3 on my Jeep anyway. It's the 99. It's got like the half moon intake there. So anyway, that's at least where it is. I'm going to try and get something on it by feel right under that number 3 injector and see if I can get it off there. We'll see. Okay, so I've got it broken loose and a good bit of the way out, and it's just held in there with friction and gravity right now. But what that is that long 3/8 ratchet I showed you earlier, about a 6 or 8 inch extension with a universal on the back of it, and 9/16 socket. I don't know if those are M14s or if they're supposed to be 9/16s. But the problem is, I don't know if it'll be easy to see on camera. Yeah, is the extension has to go uphill to get under what would be, you know, under the throttle body area of the intake. The intake is scalloped up in there, so you have to reach upward to get on that bolt and then back it off. Not a fun time at all, but that should be, once I get that off, I think that'll be the last of the bad ones to take off, and then the others are, you know, these easy ones right on the top, and we'll see if I gotta unbolt fuel rails and stuff like that at that point. I thought I had them all out, but it looks like I missed a couple. It looks like there's also one directly under number 2, which makes me believe there's probably one directly under number 5 that I just didn't see when I was under it. I hope that's not the one I already took out and thought it was a hard one. Yeah, so there's the number 6 injector, and there's number 5. So I'm gonna bet I just have those 2 to remove. I don't think those will be so bad, but we'll find out. So I did some more researching, which, you know, it's what you guys are here doing too. And it looks like I am gonna have to pull that whole wire harness off the intake and disconnect the fuel rail and all kinds of other fun little things. So I guess it's kind of a good thing I didn't get that last bolt out of it yesterday, because all that stuff would just end up holding me up. But yeah, what I was hoping is that I could just kind of take the intake off to the side and leave it hang, and I just don't think that's going to happen. There's too much going on. So I will get the harnesses and stuff off, and if anything unusual or interesting happens in that process, I will stop and show it to you guys. That didn't take long. These little clips, I thought I'd show you how to release these. You just pull this red part up, and then this part here is the actual release. So you push that up to unlock it, and then you squeeze it at the top and just wiggle it on out. So that little squeezy bit right there is how you unlock the ones with the red tabs. All the injectors have those. There's some other connectors on this thing, like the outer hood light has one. Alright, nothing particularly unexpected here. Most of these clips are all the same style. You've got a push down lock here. This one I've already got disconnected, but it's just a handy one to show you. So what you do is you just push this lock down with one screwdriver, and then just get on the back of it and give it a little twist with the other one, and it'll pop right off. These Jeeps are like 20 years old, or, you know, better, 20 years or older for a lot of them now. So all this plastic will be pretty brittle. So just try and be careful with them and take your time. And I'll try and go around and show you the other ones that are similar to that one. So I just showed you that one that's a pushy twisty. This guy is too, depending on the orientation. This is your air intake temperature sensor. I imagine these will be oriented in different ways. But anyway, the spring mechanism on this one's facing that way, so it's a little harder to get to, but it's the same idea. Just push that bit down, and then just try and get a screwdriver or a little pick or something and just lift it off of there so you don't break stuff. So that guy was like that. This guy back here, which I think is your TPS, is like that. You just push that part down and then gently push it off. Idle air control is what I'm pretty sure this guy is. Same story. You just push this guy right here down and then gently try and push it off. Got some cruddies in mine. This guy down here, let's see, yeah, this guy down here I believe is the injector harness. Well, maybe not. There's only 4 wires. I won't pretend to know. But anyway, this guy is a different one. To release this guy, you have to get a screwdriver and pull that clip, that little guy forward, pull it forward, and then just gently work that guy out. Something else I did on the injectors, I took my paint marker set and just colored the harness for the injector it goes with. And, you know, if you run out of colors, no big deal. Just I'll show you, probably that one. Just put 2 different color lines on it, and then 2 little different colored dots on the injector, right there. We got our ketchup and mustard. So these, these are going to want to go back the way they came out, but I could see a situation where I could try and do something like that. And I don't want that. I don't want misfiring injectors when I go to put this thing together again. So anyway, coolant temp sensor, same deal. It's got a pushy right there. So push that guy down, and then just get a screwdriver and try and push it off of there. Depending on how these are oriented on your Jeep, it'll be easier or harder to get to. You might have to use a pick or something. But at first glance, I think that is all the electrical connectors. Oh, did I miss? No, that's the one I demonstrated. That one's gone. So I think I'm down to just removing some vacuum stuff. It's interesting, there's a vacuum cap on that from the factory. I bet those crack and leak all the time. Or I think it's from the factory. I don't know. Anyway, so I think I have to disconnect those vacuum hoses, and I'll probably also mark those with my paint marker just to play it safe. Then I'll have to bleed the fuel pressure. There's just a Schrader valve in here. So there's just a Schrader valve like on your tires. You just poke that with a screwdriver, a little pick, and some gas will come out. Catch it with a rag, and then you don't have any fuel pressure in the rail. Then I will disconnect the fuel line, and there's a hard mount for the lines that I'll show you again later. It's right there where it screws into the intake manifold. It'll be easier to see once those vacuum lines are gone. But anyway, I think for electrical stuff, that's pretty much it. This guy looks like it has a couple screws. Pardon me. I never need to burp except when the camera's on. Actually don't know if that's got any screws in it or not. This cable trough, I think it just lifts off of some studs. So I don't think that'll be a big deal. But anyway, I'm hoping I can just take that cable trough and just lay it over on top of the valve cover and get it out of my way. And I think after I get all that stuff done, we'll be ready to get back under the thing and hate my life while I try and get that 5th bolt out, or number 5 bolt is what I'm calling it. Anyhow, we'll catch back up in a minute. Missed one. There's this guy buried down here under all this stuff. You can't hardly see him, but he's this guy. It is oriented, and it'll be this way on your Jeep too, I'm sure. It is oriented such that the part you have to push down to disconnect it is facing that way. So that one I just had to be a beast and squish down just with my finger and then just pull it off. So let's see if I can maybe get you a better shot of that later, or maybe, oh geez, it's hard to see it. There it is. There's one down here. This guy. It's clipped onto the fuel rail right by this other dude. So anyway, I missed one. Maybe I missed more, we'll find out. So I got the pressure bled out of this guy, and I've got my fuel line disconnect tool on here, which I've had this thing for 20 years and I've never had a vehicle that it actually worked on. Somebody told me this worked for GM fuel lines, and I'll show you a link, and I'll throw a flag up in this video to show you what actually works for those. But anyway, how this works is there's this little retaining clip here. This one was actually a little stubborn to get off. I just kind of gently pried at it right up here with a couple screwdrivers until it popped out. When it's on there, you can rotate it around so it's a little easier to work on. And what you do is you take your fuel line tool and you put it over the line and you squeeze it, and you kind of push the line up, push the tool into it. Now the line should just pop right off, I think. Yep, there she goes. Tool's on the floor. I'll show you the tool. Hang on. So there's the tool, not installed. This happens to be an Ampro brand, and that size was the F size, whatever that means. If you happen to, find this exact thing at AutoZone, which I'm sure is where I bought this thing many moons ago, make sure you get that size. This will be a smaller one. Actually, I'll throw a set of calipers on there and measure that just so you guys know. But so another fun factoid is whatever these are made out of, which I assume is some kind of pot metal or something, is not magnetic. So if you drop them, make sure you don't drop them somewhere you can't get them back. Anyway, I'll grab that set of calipers. It's raining again. This will probably go on for 10 seconds and then just be 4 times more humid. But it did chase everybody else inside, like I said yesterday. It's a good thing. So the size you need on the inside is 350, that's in inches, so 0.350. And the outside of this guy is 550. Or, yeah, I thought it was 550. Nope, sorry. Like 520. So make sure that whatever you buy isn't radically different from that size, or it just won't fit. Alright, I actually popped the cover off of this cable chase just to make sure there's no like fasteners down in there or anything where this might actually bolt onto those studs. I'm pretty sure it just clicks on. I didn't want to start prying on stuff until I knew. So just FYI, that's what it looks like inside. I don't think you need to do that. Also worth mentioning, a long time ago I disconnected the negative battery terminal, so you should do that right when you start off too. Yeah, so this is just a friction fit over those studs. That stud right there, it just comes down on it. And what I did to remove that is I just really gently went down through with my trusty $8 Harbor Freight pry bar. I was really gently pried up on that against the rail, the fuel rail, gently. And just, there are 3 points that goes into it, and I just worked down all 3 points a few times and just popped it off. Make sure you don't pry against an injector. And like I said, I was being really gentle. I didn't even scratch the paint on the rail. So don't go in here He-Man and stuff. This will come off. Just use a little patience and take your time. And now I think this guy is free to roam. Oh, something else. I guess that didn't really work out for me. Is I stuffed a rubber cap in the fuel line just to keep insects and stuff out of there, and I should probably do the same thing on the rail. But there's also a harness routing clip right there that just slid onto, get my hand out of there and you can see, yeah, it just slid onto that stud right there, and you just pull it straight off. Now I need to take the nut off of that stud to be able to free the fuel lines up from the intake. I also forgot to disconnect this vacuum, which I assume is PCV or something, or breather, from the intake. It went right there. Just pull it up gently. I suggest you do not mess with these elbows on this thing. These are old plastic and brittle. So I just disconnected it over here off the brass fitting where I wasn't likely to hurt anything, and then just rotated this out of my way. They turn real easily. So I think the next things to do now is I'm going to get this cable chase bungee corded out of my way. I'm going to disconnect that nut, and I think, I need to take this bolt off down here because it holds a bracket that holds these connectors. This is the one I was showing you earlier where it's hard to see. You have to like push on the back of it to release it. Anyway, it's held on to the fuel rail with that nut. So I just need to take it off and it can hang out in the breeze. And then I think, unfortunately, we're ready to get back under it and curse some more. And there should be. Got everything off of it, I think, except that one last bolt. And I just bungee corded the harness up out of my way, Saddington supervising. And it's important to note here that I'm not actually pulling on that wire harness with this bungee. This bungee is still really nice and loose. It's just holding it. So don't do anything silly like yank on your wire harness and mess something up. All this is doing is just holding it. It's really slack. Another thing I'm going to do here quick before I keep going is I'm going to take my air blow gun and just blow all the crap out of there. As soon as I get the manifolds off, we're in the cylinders. There was a mud dauber nest in there right there, or I guess in other parts of the country or the world, a mud wasp nest. So in fact there's a dead one. So I'm just going to take my blowgun here and blow all that crap out. As much as I can anyway. So before I get back under it, I went ahead and put the nuts back on each end of this exhaust manifold. They don't hold the intake on. And I did that so if I eventually get that last bolt out of this whole thing, that all this stuff doesn't just want to come crashing down right on top of my face. I would not enjoy that. And as another precaution, I have put a bungee on the fuel rail, just over to the, I guess the grill stabilizer. And this one is actually pretty tight. I'm not going to actually hurt anything there. So, yeah, suggest you do the same. Leave those nuts on there. They're loose. They're just finger tight. So all this stuff doesn't come crashing into your face. At least on mine, where the exhaust is completely broken off on it, there really isn't anything else holding it on, I don't think. So I'm going to get under it and hate my life for probably an hour while I get that one bolt out, and we'll get back to you afterward. Well, as my dad always says, you got to be smarter in what you're working on, and it finally just happened. It occurred to me that with a 1/4 inch extension, I don't need a universal joint to get up in there. It kind of looks that way right now, but that's because I'm
not holding it. So right now it is actually broken free, and I just need to finish taking it out. I'll show you the conglomeration of things it took to get that done, but we'll leave it at it pays off to be a tool order. But anyway, yeah, I think if anybody out there is doing this job, don't mess with universal joints and stuff. Just get some 1/4-inch extensions that you don't mind breaking if you have to. Anyway, we'll get back to you in a second. So, intake manifold is ready to come on out of there. Just need to take my bungee off and pick it up out. But the conglomeration that ended up working is my long handle 3/8, so I showed you guys before. The 3/8 to 1/4-inch drive adapter conversion, so that's a step down. That's probably a 6-inch socket extension, 1/4-inch drive. I believe that's probably about a 2. Then a 1/4-inch to 3/8 adapter, and then back to the 9/16 3/8 socket. So that is what worked for me. This guy is small enough diameter that it's not affected by the fact that the bolts are uphill. So it manages to get in there with a straight shot. I don't know if all the bottom ones you could do this way, but I think for funsies, when I go to reassemble it, I'm going to try it. Because if that works, you should be able to, in theory anyway, do all those bottom bolts from the top just with a 1/4-inch drive extension. I will say it was plenty tight, and you know, if I broke an extension or one of these drive adapters or whatever trying, I don't really care. You know, my tools work for me, not the other way around. So we got the job done. Anyway, let's get that manifold off of there and get the holes in the head plugged up. Got her off, got all my holes plugged up. You can see I didn't have to worry about taking those collector bolts out. Just popped right off. What's really weird is how this thing failed, because I didn't think that's how these worked. I always thought that they cracked out at the primaries, and where they expand and shrink and stuff all the time. And the replacement I have, which is a Dorman, has little bellows in here to prevent that from happening. This one's fine. I don't see anything like that on this. In fact, if this hadn't gone on so long, I think you could probably weld that back together if you wanted to and reuse it. This thing's actually not in that bad a shape, other than, you know, being split right in half. But yeah, that's really weird. So anyway, she's out of there. Something else is, I think I mentioned to you guys, this thing has had a cracked exhaust manifold the whole time I've owned it. I bought it in 06. Look at how much carbon, and actually this is just like grease, is in the intake manifold from just running way too rich for years. It's, you know, running too rich because it's got a leak upstream of the O2 sensor, so it's putting extra gas in. So yeah, I'm going to spend, look at that. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time just trying to clean up my intake manifold before I put it back on. This is gross, so I probably shouldn't wipe stuff into the injectors. Anyway, pretty interesting stuff. So I'm going to spend a while cleaning that on that guy, and we'll get back to it. Take what's left of the manifold off. I'm wondering if I can get lucky and those bolts actually come off, because I need them, or I need to go to the hardware store. I doubt that's going to happen, but I can try. I'll put some of the magic elixir on them and we'll see how it goes. So the elixir here has had a couple days to settle in on these collector bolts. I'm not thinking that they're going to come out. I'm thinking that my best option, or hope, is that the impact gun will just break them off. The one under it looks even worse, like there's basically no head left on it. Yeah, that one. The head's all eaten right off of it. It doesn't fit a 9/16 or a half. I'm just going to probably have to get on it with vice grips. It's going to be a real fun time, I'm sure. So we'll get under it and see what we can make happen. Well, to the surprise of no one, that totally didn't work. There's no access from below to get straight on it with a socket on either of those bolts. So I got on it with a socket and a universal on my impact gun on this side and tried to back it up with another socket on the other side, and it just rounded the head of the bolt off. You can see that it's just spinning. So I think we're gonna have to cut them. It looks like my little air cutoff wheel will actually get in here and do that. This blade's actually pretty worn, or this disc is actually pretty worn down. You can see it's probably missing about a 1/2 inch of diameter. I've got some new ones if I got to put one in, but I'm going to try that. See if I can maybe put you guys on a tripod so you can watch along. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Well, I got the top one. I was kind of hoping that once I got it out, maybe it would be somewhat inclined to rotate around. Nope. So it's looking like one way or the other I'm going to have to get under it and try and cut the bottom one out of it too. Maybe the same way, but from underneath and from the front of the Jeep. I don't know if I can like work through that space between the exhaust pipe, the drive shaft, and the front axle or not. Just have to crawl underneath it and see. If I can, I almost certainly can't film it, so sorry guys, we'll get back with you in a sec. So that worked, but now I have another problem. It also took 1,000 years with that air cutoff wheel, but that's all it really fit. And I don't think I, cut up the oil pan or engine block doing it, which is good. But now this has got like a kind of a mushroom, and it's been a few minutes already, so it's not hot anymore. And I'm gonna need that hole back to bolt the new one on. So I don't know if I can just smack it out of there or what's gonna have to happen, but it's not gonna be a good time. Also, it has occurred to me that it's probably not gonna be much fun at all trying to put the new manifold in with the exhaust hung up and at installed height, unless yours splits in two, like literally in two pieces like mine did. You'll probably have to drop the exhaust to service it. So I don't know if I can like get everything just loosely affixed and kind of jigger it into place or not, but we'll find out. First thing I got to do is try and get that bolt out of there, and I'm sure it's going to just be tons of fun. So we'll see what happens. Actually, as soon as I put a wrench to it, it just fell out of the hole, which is awesome. You can see I took the worst possible path to cut through this thing. I made the cut as long as I possibly could and made it extra hard on myself just because that's the angle I could reach it from. So it took approximately 2 forevers to get this cut off. But yeah, it's out. So good deal. So with the garage door open and that big fan running and a little oscillating fan running in the back of the garage, it is 89 in there. So out where I'm working, plus humidity and everything, it's probably like probably about 100-degree heat index. I'm just whipped. I think I'm going to call this one at part 1 for this. Thanks for stopping in. Once again, I want to thank you guys for your subscriptions and your likes and all that stuff. It really does mean a lot. And we'll catch you on the next one. This is Saddington Bear. He's our channel mascot and project supervisor, and he would like you to know I try to make a project video every week. You might be interested in some of these other videos. Take a look and let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it.